evening. Many thanks for joining us live on QTV. You are watching QTV News, and I am Ajibintu Drame. In tonight's top stories, the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Banjul calls on public to reflect on Mary's assumption and reception in heaven by God. On the commemoration on International Youth Day celebrated annually on August 12, our team in URR met some of the youth engaged in entrepreneurship skills and horticulture. The Ministry of Higher Education, in collaboration with the UNESCO Dakar office on Wednesday, validated the National Technical and Vocational Education and Training Policy 2021 to 2030. The UNDP, in partnership with the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, on Thursday launched the UNDP Human Development Report and the nationally determined contributions. In sports news, Gambian League champions Fortune FC are drawn against Algeria club ES Satif for the CAF Champions League preliminary round qualifiers. Also, 60 football coaches have been awarded CAF C license after concluding an intensive coaching course. Those were our main headlines. Now the news in detail. Now, the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Banjul, the Most Reverend Dr. Gabriel Mendy, in his Assumption Day message, called on believers and members of other faiths who share their joy to reflect on Mary's assumption and reception in heaven by God. More in this report.
Sunday, the 15th of August, is the Assumption of Mary, also known as the Dormition of the Virgin Mary. This feast commemorates the departure of Mary from this life and the assumption of her body into heaven. The oral and biblical accounts of Mary's life and noble position in the Church clearly acknowledge her modest and humble background. And God never ceased doing great things for Mary, his lowly handmaid.
He persistently showed his power and goodness to her, and the most special, spectacular, and singular favor he granted her was to raise her body and soul into heaven. She did not therefore experience the corruption of death at the end of her life, because she was raised, protected, and glorified by God in heaven. So there was no moment in her life as God's lowly servant and handmaid that God abandoned her, for God constantly exalted and glorified Mary beyond her weakness and expectations.
Bishop Mendy also gave hope to others who obey the Lord's commands. The Assumption, he says, was peculiar and exceptional, but God also raised, protected, and glorified his servants who were humble and obedient.
They equally experienced the wonders and power of God's hand in their lives when they obeyed his message and demands. God reversed their situation and he transformed and exalted them. But he humiliated those who relied on their powers and wealth and were proud of heart, because God loves, cares, and defends his lowly servant. This is clearly revealed in the scriptures, our human history, and our world today. God always favors and supports his lowly and obedient servants who depend on him.
But what about those who do not obey God's command? Will they be saved and crowned with eternal glory?
But that's not the case with those who exalted themselves and misused their power and position to inflict pain and suffering on others instead of obeying God. They ultimately failed because God never supports, protects, and delivers those who are obstinate and proud of heart. We should therefore consider ourselves as God's humble and lowly servants. Whether we are Christians or Muslims, rich or poor, weak or powerful, old or young, we are first and foremost God's lowly servants. We are likewise expected to believe God's word and trust his promises like Mary.
Diocese of Banjul, the bishop finally wished fellow Christians, Muslim friends and relatives, Gambians and believers of other faiths a peaceful, meaningful and fulfilling celebration of the solemnity of the Assumption of Mary. Babukar Sise, QTV News.
Moving on, International Youth Day is celebrated annually on August 12th. This year, the theme is about transforming food systems. Our team in URR met some of the youths engaged in entrepreneurship skills and horticulture as they shared their innovations for the improvement of food security and food sufficiency in the Gambia. This report is by Fode Mane.
The theme for this year's celebration is Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health, to highlight and emphasize that the success of such a global effort will not be achieved without the meaningful participation of young people. We spoke to the Executive Director of the Tumanna Agency for Development, TAD, which focuses on youth and gender empowerment, agricultural, environmental, climate change and livestock programs. Mohamed B. Drame congratulated young people in observance of the day and shared his organization's commitment to the theme of this year's commemoration.
The commitment of Tumanna Agency for Development in this agenda is first, if you want to transform our food system, young people need to learn skills that are related to agriculture, skills that are related to food security. Then if they learn skills, they will be able to engage in food security issues using best practices, using modern technologies, not only the machines, but the idea and the experience will all be modernized using best practices.
Mr. Drame identified inadequate skills, knowledge and resources in farming as key factors affecting the transformation of the food systems in the Gambia.
We are training young people in food security programs through agribusiness. We call it as agripreneurship. We train them on so many food security related programs, beekeeping, horticulture, food processing, using best practices by providing adequate and quality skills and knowledge for these young people so that they will take up these skills, these trade areas as a career.
According to the United Nations, UN, it has been acknowledged that there is a need for inclusive support mechanisms to ensure youth continue to amplify efforts collectively and individually to restore the planet and protect life, while integrating biodiversity in the transformation of food systems. A couple doing poultry farming, Kadei Koma and Abdullah Jada, says in transforming food systems in the Gambia, people need to depend on home-based products over imported ones.
The chickens we have here, we buy them is better than to import other one from another country. Because the one that are coming, you don't know how they are. Yeah, they may not be healthy, but the one we have here, they are more healthier than the one they bring outside.
My advice, like especially those who are doing poultry, they should also consider the climate. Lack of experience in the field can make the business to collapse.
Fanta Jaula, a young entrepreneur engaged in horticulture, also shared her innovation in line with the agenda.
Me having my own garden and working here as that, as a member of TRAD, like we are doing our gardens both organically. We are not trying to add any chemicals onto it. And we're also trying to transform things like by processing our products immediately after when we already produce them in order to avoid post-harvest loss.
Food systems include not only the basic elements of how we get the food from farms to the table, but also all the processes and infrastructure involved in feeding a population and the negative externalities that can be generated during the process. Reporting for QTV News, I am Fode Mane.
The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, in collaboration with the UNESCO Dakar office on Wednesday, validated the National Technical and Vocational Education and Training Policy 2021 to 2030. The policy will empower youths through technical and vocational skills. Abibatu Sise reports.
The national policy seeks to reinforce technical, vocational education and training system in the Gambia. It will create an environment for young people, especially girls, to equip them with valuable skills and training needed to gain decent employment for sustainable development. The Higher Education Minister, Badara Diouf, says the world is highly dependent on science and technology, and the inclusion of TVET policy is a national priority.
Youths to be engaged in gainful employment, for Gambian youths to be equipped with the skills that minister to development and employability, for Gambian youths to be able to have a measure of life that is meaningful and purposeful. it is important that we make sure that they get the skills that they need to be able to live on the sands of time, footprints that would make a difference. And that's why we have this policy. Whether it is in fisheries, whether it is in construction, whether it is in agriculture, or fabrication, welding, carpentry, automotive, whatever it is.
The UNESCO Dakar office is providing technical assistance to the Ministry of Higher Education. Dimitri Sanga, the director of UNESCO Dakar, emphasizes the importance of TVET policy development, saying it is part of the UN Sustainable Development Goal 4, which seeks to promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full of productive employment and decent work for all. Mr. Sanga adds that UNESCO is committed to helping the Gambia in the proper implementation of the TVET policy.
These specific commitments are reflected in the started vision of the TVET development in the Gambia, which is a quality, relevant, and well-resourced TVET system that is accessible, equitable, and inclusive to deliver through long life learning a skilled, competitive, and employable workforce for sustained socio-economic development.
With the global population expected to increase to 8 billion by 2030, skills acquisition is one way to prevent the menace of unemployment. The Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Touré, highlighted the importance of TVET, saying it is part of the National Development Plan 2018 to 2021.
The United Nations Declaration on Education for Sustainable Development has recommended that all countries take proactive steps in integrating sustainable development into their educational policies and programs at all levels and in all sectors of the economy. This concept touches on key issues such as poverty reduction, sustainable livelihoods, climate change, human rights issues, and gender equality, among others.
The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, in collaboration with the MRC Holland Foundation, has upgraded the Kanila Institute of Technology, which is expected to be operational in September, as well as the Ndemban, Julengel, and Mansa Konkok skill centers. The Gambia Technical Training Institute will also be upgraded to a University of Applied Science and Technology. The TVET project is funded by the Republic of Korea through Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA. For QTV News, I am Abibatu Sise.
We will now go for a short commercial break. Still to come, we have more stories. Do stay tuned.
Now, with Ajib Bank, you can make your vehicle number plate payments without any hassle. Walk into any of our bank branches or agencies located at Banjul, New Josuang, Karaba Avenue, Bakote, Tranquil Brusubi, Brikama, Basse, Farafenye, Numuyel or Garawal. Your number plate payments now made easy with Ajib Bank. For more information, please call us on 422-8405 or 377-5811. Ajib Bank, your investment partner. Q Money, the biggest mobile money service in the Gambia, has taken mobile banking to the next level. Now, you can link your Q Money wallet with your bank account. Yes, link your Ajib or EcoBank accounts with your Q Money wallet and get instant access to your cash anytime. No need to queue at the bank anymore. Transfer funds from your bank account to your wallet or your wallet to your bank account using Q Money Bank Link is the fastest, most secure and convenient way to transfer funds between your wallet and bank account. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunyu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. Now, the UNDP, in partnership with the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, on Thursday launched the UNDP Human Development Report and the nationally determined contributions. And Sumana Isonyase reports.
Highlighting the importance of the report, Ms. Nana Chinboa, UNDP Deputy Resident Representative, implored government to continue playing a leading role in addressing climate change issues, adding that the Human Development Report should now be used to measure national progress instead of GDP. She also gave an assurance of the UNDP's commitment to supporting government in strengthening its national resilience capacity.
The past 2 years have been devastating, both for the planet and people. We have seen record-breaking Atlantic hurricanes, enormous wildfires in Australia, the US, Siberia, and Brazil, and we are still in the midst of a pandemic in which millions have died and many millions more have lost their chance to work, to study, or to see their loved ones. The warning lights from nature and society are flashing red.
Lamin Diba, the Minister for Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, says the Gambia remains vulnerable to natural disasters, thus the importance of having such an important policy document like the Human Development Report, as this will help provide guidance in promoting environment-friendly projects and infrastructure, especially decarbonizing the economy. Reiterating government's commitment to building the capacity and resilience of the citizenry, he revealed that government has recently established a climate secretariat and is working towards achieving 50% use of renewable energy by 2030.
Indeed, this is a moment of reflection. When we have seen global trend in changing climate that affects the lives and the livelihood of people around the world, particularly vulnerable communities. Intertwining the two, human development can never be achieved if we are not able to have sustainable livelihoods for our communities.
Alpha A.K. Jallo, UNFCCC focal point, and Mamadou Mbaye Jabang, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, both welcomed the launch of the NDCs and National Human Development Report.
The process involved national partners and consultants, and also a coordinator with very, very extensive national consultations to have the process transparent and Gambian owned.
What has come out really glaring is how our human activities in very recent history, in past 20 to 25, 50 years, has drastically changed the atmospheric conditions to a point where we humans, as the theme rightly indicated, negatively impacting living on this planet called Earth.
This year marks the 30th anniversary of the National Human Development Report. According to the UNDP Deputy Resident Representative, over the years, the Gambia has made progress in addressing climate change issues. However, much more can be done. Ansmane Sonyasi for QTV News.
Now on to sports news. Gambian League champions Fortune FC are drawn against Algerian club AS Satif for the CAF Champions League preliminary round qualifiers. Fortune will host the first leg in September and the return leg away. Mobdo Gajaga reports.
Fortune will take part in their first Continental Club Championship as league champions in the first round preliminary match to be played over 2 legs. The Petroleum Boys will play their first leg between the 12th to the 15th of September at the Independence Stadium and the return leg in the week of the 17th to the 19th of September. Gambian clubs have faced North African sides in both preliminaries and second round qualifiers of the CAF Champions League and Confederations Club Cup competitions. So far, none were successful in knocking out the North Africans. They are also yet to make it to the group phase of the competition. Fortune were confirmed league champions last month with 3 matches to spare, with a strong showing in the league, winning 12 matches and drawing 11 and losing 3 in 26 games. In an interview with QTV last month, Fortune coach Jane Juve says it would be tough to reach the group phase, especially if they face a club from North Africa. Jane added they will do their best whoever they came across.
Yes, this is our first time, as you said, and also we are a young team in Gambian football. But I think if we want to at least motivate the players and also open up their way, in a sense that they have been playing the Gambian League and shouldn't end here, they at least need the exposure, and the exposure can only be from the chance that we have at the moment, that is winning the league and also going to CAF Champions League. So we'll try our level best to see that we are there, in one way or the other. As you said, it's preliminaries, but nobody knows what's going to happen, but we'll prepare ourselves for this and then see if we can at least pass through the preliminary stage to another stage as well.
Al Ahly, winners of the last two editions of this competition, will only enter the second round to face the winner of the double-header between US Gendarmerie Nationale of Niger and Les Machars de Ngonzi of Burundi. In total, 10 teams were exempted from the first round. Al Ahly and Raja Casablanca, as well as Esperance of Tunisia, Zamalek of Egypt, Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa, Simba of Tanzania, Horoya AC of Guinea, TP Mazembe of DR Congo, Etoile Sportif de Sahel of Tunisia, and Wydad Casablanca of Morocco. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
60 football coaches have been awarded CAF license after concluding an intensive coaching course organized by the Gambia Football Federation Technical Department in collaboration with the Gambia Football Coaches Association. The graduation was held at the National Technical Training Center in Yundum. Babukasi reports.
The training was conducted in 2 batches earlier this year, in practical and theory. The football coaches were drawn from the 1st and 2nd division male and female leagues. The coaches, according to the trainers, have all graduated with distinction under the supervision of local instructors. The event, attended by the football stakeholders in the country, was described as a milestone as coaches play a key role in our football development. Pasware Fai, the president of the Gambia Football Coaches Association, challenged the graduates to continue seeking knowledge, as football is an everyday trade where one needs to always learn new things.
We are blessed that the senior national team, the assistant coach is a Gambian, the under-23 is a Gambian, the under-20 is a Gambian, under-17 is a Gambian. Go out and work. Liggéey rek mo wóor. And as coaches, if you work the way you should, my friend, at the end of the day, you will be crowned the king.
The technical director of the Gambia Football Federation, Sang John Dong, said the course was intensive but lively, as all the participants were eager to learn new things in coaching.
We always talk about building capacity, but this needs to be implemented. And seeing 60 coaches going home with C license, I think it's a massive achievement for them as individuals and us as a federation. Next now, we've got another C license before the end of the year, and we're also trying to train local coaches, because present is just myself, Alaji Sila and LS are official FIFA and CAF coaches. And we're trying to run a local course for this. We got about 20 local instructors. We'll be training them by next month. We'll have a program with them, a refreshers. Then in November, we have a FIFA course for these local instructors. And in November also, we have another FIFA course for grassroots coaches.
Bakari Kejame, the first vice president of the Gambia Football Federation, described the day as a joyous one, as coaches are not only graduating, but celebrating Gambia's qualification to the AFCON and Jane Juve's heroic performance in the just-ended National League.
One of the first things we realized when we want to take the leadership of football in the country is that there is a big mismatch between the footballers, the number of teams, the number of players, and the number of trained personnel that takes care of that. You are the leaders of football. In reality, everything that we do, in my view, is to prepare a team. At the end of the day, it rests on you to select the players and manage them to victory. Not so. So you are leaders.
Abdul Karim Dabo gave the vote of thanks on behalf of the graduates.
The Coaches Association, under the able leadership of Pa Shuare Fai, for thinking of developing coaches, because it is only true that we will be able to produce better players. And we were tasked as coaches to go down to the communities and bring out the best of talents to further strengthen our Gambian football. It is undoubted that this training has been manifested in our just concluded leagues.
Certificates were awarded to all the coaches, and the event also witnessed the decoration of Jane Juf as the Coach of the Year by the Coaches Association after guiding Fortune Football Club to win the just concluded National First Division League. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
Before we end, here's a recap of our main headlines. The Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Banjul, in his Assumption Day message, called on people to reflect on Mary's Assumption and reception in heaven by God. On the commemoration on International Youth Day, celebrated annually on August 12, our team in URR met some of the youth engaged in entrepreneurship, skills and horticulture. The Ministry of Higher Education, in collaboration with the UNESCO Dhaka office on Wednesday, validated the National Technical and Vocational Education and Training TVET policy to 2021 to 2030. The UNDP, in partnership with the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, on Thursday launched the UNDP Human Development Report and the nationally determined contributions. In sports news, Gambian League champions Fortune FC are drawn against Algerian club ES Sati for the CAF Champions League preliminary round qualifiers. And 60 football coaches have been awarded CAF C license after concluding an intensive coaching course. That's all we have for you in today's bulletin. Thank you for watching and have a nice evening.